Hey hobbyists, in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to do lava bases. Here's the full list of the paints I'm using in this tutorial. And I'm going to preface right now, for best results you're going to want to use an airbrush for this, but you can hand blend these effects. First you want to grab your blank base, some cork, and some sand. Pretty self-explanatory. Here you're going to glue on your cork and maybe decorate the top of the cork with a little bit of sand if you so desire to. The area at the bottom and the blank part of the base we're going to leave untouched because that's where we're going to put our lava. Now I'm mixing up some plaster, or this particular stuff I'm using is called Ultracal. Now there's nothing too special about this, you literally just mix it with some water. Here I'm just making sure that I don't mix up too much, and I make sure that my water to plaster ratio is nice. Really just eyeballing it. The kind of mixture you want is like thick pancake batter. Just go back and forth, but you know, tiny amounts so you don't overmix and you're left with a bunch. Make sure you're using just a throwaway cup to mix your stuff in. It'll make your life a lot easier in the long run. Also, use a shitty throwaway brush you don't care about to not only mix the plaster, but to also apply it to our bases. It's really hard to see the plaster in this camera shot simply because the powder itself is up a really light gray, and my light is so bright. That's why you see me keep tilting the cup just so you can get a view of it. Once you've got your mix to a satisfactory viscosity, go ahead and liberally apply it to your bases. You want a nice thick layer. Go ahead and use a smaller tip brush just to get into the smaller, more delicate areas. And if any of the plaster happens to droop onto the side of the base, go ahead and just wipe it off. Once you've done that, go ahead and let these dry for a full 3 to 5 hours. I typically actually like to save mine for a full day just to be 100% sure. But because we're kind of applying such a thin layer in comparison to what the stuff usually gets used for, like really big castings, this stuff should really just dry within a few hours. Anyway, once it's dry, give it a good primer coat. Next, you're going to base coat all the lava areas before flash gets yellow. It's kind of hard to see here, so I'm not going to linger on this too long. Next, you're going to base coat all your stone with dryad bark. Once that's dry, give this a dry brush highlight of the P3 Sanguine base. Then, continually mix in Rakar's flesh into the sanguine base on your palette just to brighten up the color, and dry brush on your highlights. Once said and done, give this a heavy Agrax Earthshade. Let that fully dry, and now it's time to whip out the airbrush. Go ahead and load up your airbrush with Flash Gets Yellow and a little bit of white, and we're going to go back over all of the yellow areas and letting the overspray catch on the side of our rocks. If you haven't an airbrush, go ahead and dry brush on this color. Next we load up Charcoal Orange, and we start to spray that a little further away from our rocks. We're going to be continuing on our progression towards red, adding less and less to the base each time, letting the yellow being our brightest part of the base around the area where the lava and the rocks meet. Next we load up Kador Red Base, which is my favorite red. And we go ahead and continue what we're doing. Go ahead and airbrush that on, and go on very lightly this time, even going as far as to go around the rim of the base, very lightly. Build up the color slowly, as you don't want to go overboard with it. We're going for a nice, natural, smooth gradient. Last color we're airbrushing on is the P3 Sanguine Base, which is our darkest red here. Go ahead and load that up and brush that on. Again, we are getting a smooth transition, getting further and further away from the area around the rocks. So this will be the darkest and most minimal part on our base. This color is just to represent the coolest part of our lava, even though it's still, you know, flaming hot. Lava tends to get darker as it cools down, as it's going back towards its solid state of stone. Now, we're not done yet. Next, we're going to take our Lamenter Yellow glaze and our Bloodletter glaze, and get yourself a little mixing pot. Here, I'm just using a little bottle cap that I've used for some other bases. And you go ahead and mix that together. I would suggest you use more Lamenter's Yellow than you do Bloodletter. You honestly don't need much of the Bloodletter. Here we're really just making an orange glaze, and just apply that liberally to all the lava and to the side of the rocks just to blend the colors together. Let that fully dry, and then you're going to mix your Flash Goods Yellow with a little bit of white on your paint palette again. And what we're essentially going to do is draw a line where the stone meets the lava. This is our hotspot highlight, and that really just makes the base pop out. Be jagged with it, maybe add a few dots here and there, maybe even go as far as to edge highlight the stone a little bit, just to add a little bit of extra glow. You want this looking uneven. Oh, make sure you drop what you're working on. That's important too. Final last step is to just paint the rim of your base black. Any other color is wrong. And there you have it. Last thing you gotta do is just stick your hero or character on there and they'll have the high ground. Anyway, thanks for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please give a like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to see more of our content, head on over to Facebook or Instagram, or come join us live during our YouTube and Twitch streams. If you'd like to support the channel in a more direct way, head on over to our Patreon and become a patron today. That's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy painting. Oh, gee, ah!